The mountains loomed like ancient titans, their jagged peaks piercing the heavens, shrouded in a veil of mist that clung to the air like a lover's embrace. Beneath the watchful gaze of these silent sentinels lay a hidden sanctuary, a cabin nestled amidst the dense embrace of the forest, its weathered facade a testament to the passage of time. It was here, in this remote wilderness, that Tom sought refuge from the chaos of the world, a solitary haven where he hoped to find solace and inspiration amidst the whispering shadows. With each step through the thick blanket of snow, he felt the weight of his burden slowly melting away, replaced by a sense of quiet anticipation. The cabin beckoned to him like a siren's call, its windows aglow with the warm flicker of firelight dancing within. Pushing open the heavy wooden door, Tom stepped into the embrace of the unknown, his breath forming ghostly tendrils in the frigid air. Inside, the cabin exuded a sense of timeless tranquility, a refugee frozen in time, untouched by the outside world. The scent of pine mingled with the crackle of the fire, casting a spell of enchantment upon the weary traveler. As Tom settled into his new surroundings, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, a prickling sensation at the nape of his neck, like the brush of unseen fingers against his skin. But he dismissed it as mere paranoia, attributing it to the isolation of the wilderness and his own overactive imagination. Night fell like a velvet curtain, cloaking the forest in a blanket of darkness. Alone in the cabin, Tom felt a sense of unease creeping into his bones, a whisper of doubt that lingered on the edges of his consciousness. And then, as if in response to his silent fears, the whispers began. A soft susurrus seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. Words whispered on the edge of hearing, teasing and tantalizing, yet maddeningly elusive. Tom tried to rationalize away the voices, chalking them up to the wind playing tricks through the trees. But deep down, he knew that something sinister lurked in the shadows, a presence that defied explanation, lurking just beyond the edge of perception. And so, as the fire dwindled to embers and the night stretched on, Tom found himself ensnared in a web of uncertainty, a stranger in a land haunted by whispers, with no escape in sight. The cabin seemed to hold its breath as night descended like a shroud, enveloping everything in darkness. Tom sat by the crackling fire, his eyes fixed on the dancing flames, but his mind wandered to the unsettling events of the day. The whispers had grown louder, more insistent, echoing through the timbered walls like the plaintive cries of lost souls. Tom's skepticism wavered with each passing moment, his rational mind struggling to reconcile the inexplicable with the tangible. Outside, the forest loomed like a silent sentinel, its secrets hidden beneath a blanket of snow. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the faintest hint of something otherworldly, a presence that lingered just beyond the edge of perception. With a shiver, Tom rose from his seat and paced the length of the cabin, his footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and turning in a macabre ballet, while the fire cast flickering patterns across the floor. Suddenly, a movement caught Tom's eye, a glimmer of movement in the corner of the room, fleeting and ephemeral. He turned, heart pounding in his chest, but there was nothing there save for the empty expanse of the cabin. Doubt gnawed at Tom's resolve, planting seeds of fear in his mind. He tried to shake off the feeling of unease, but it clung to him like a second skin, suffocating him with its suffocating embrace. And then, just as he was about to surrender to the darkness, a voice whispered in his ear, a soft, melodic sound that sent shivers down his spine. Tom froze, his breath catching in his throat, as the voice spoke words that chilled him to the bone. "Leave this place," it whispered, a hint of desperation tinging its ethereal tones, before it's too late. Tom's blood ran cold as the realization dawned upon him. He was not alone in the cabin. Something lingered in the shadows, something ancient and malevolent, watching and waiting with bated breath. With a trembling hand, Tom reached for the door, his mind reeling with fear and uncertainty. But as he stepped out into the night, the whispers followed him, a haunting refrain that echoed in the depths of his soul. And so, as the darkness swallowed him whole, Tom knew that he had ventured into a realm beyond his understanding, a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurred, and the whispers of the night held sway over all who dared to listen. The cabin stood silent and brooding as Tom returned from his nocturnal vigil, the echoes of the whispers still ringing in his ears like a haunting melody. He hesitated at the threshold, a sense of foreboding weighing heavy upon his shoulders. But the lure of warmth and safety drew him back inside. With each passing moment, the supernatural phenomena intensified, casting the cabin in an eerie light. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes while the air crackled with a palpable energy. A sense of otherness that permeated every corner of the room. Tom's rational mind rebelled against the onslaught of the inexplicable, searching desperately for a logical explanation to cling to. But the evidence of a haunting was undeniable. The cryptic messages etched into the walls, the whispers that echoed through the night, the sense of being watched by unseen eyes. Driven by a newfound determination, Tom set out to unravel the mystery of the cabin's dark past, hoping to uncover the truth behind the whispers that haunted his every waking moment. He combed through dusty tomes and weathered journals, piecing together fragments of a story long forgotten. As he delved deeper into the secrets of the cabin, Tom uncovered tales of tragedy and despair, a family torn apart by greed and betrayal, their restless spirits condemned to wander the wilderness for all eternity. And at the heart of it all stood the enigmatic figure of the cabin's former owner, a man consumed by darkness, his soul bound to the land he once called home. But even as Tom unearthed the truth, the malevolent presence that lurked in the shadows refused to be silenced. It toyed with his mind, twisting his thoughts and manipulating his perceptions until he could no longer trust his own senses. And so, as the night wore on and the whispers grew louder, Tom found himself teetering on the brink of madness, a lone figure adrift in a sea of darkness, with no shore in sight. But still, he pressed on, driven by a burning desire to confront the entity that held him captive in its thrall. For he knew that only by facing his deepest fears could he hope to break free from the shackles of the past and emerge victorious from the darkness that threatened to consume him whole. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow upon the snowy landscape as Tom ventured into the forest, his footsteps muffled by the soft blanket of snow. The trees loomed overhead like ancient guardians, their twisted branches reaching out to ensnare the unwary traveler. With each step, Tom felt the weight of the forest pressing down upon him, a tangible presence that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Shadows danced amidst the trees, their movements fluid and sinuous, as if guided by some unseen hand. But Tom pressed on, his resolve unwavering despite the overwhelming sense of unease that gnawed at his insides. He had come too far to turn back now, too close to uncovering the truth behind the haunting that plagued the cabin. As he ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, Tom's senses were assailed by a cacophony of sound, the mournful cry of the wind, the rustle of leaves, the distant howl of a lone wolf. But beneath it all, he could hear another sound, a soft, melodic hum that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the earth. Following the sound like a siren's call, Tom soon found himself standing before a clearing bathed in moonlight, a place of ethereal beauty, untouched by the ravages of time. And there, amidst the whispering trees, he saw her, a figure cloaked in shadow, her features obscured by the darkness. For a moment, Tom hesitated, unsure of what he would find lurking within the shadows. But then, with a sense of determination burning in his chest, he stepped forward, his heart pounding in his ears. "Who are you?" he called out, his voice echoing in the stillness of the night. "What do you want from me?" The figure remained silent, her form swaying gently in the breeze. And then, with a voice like silk, she spoke, a single word that sent a shiver down Tom's spine. "Freedom," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustle of leaves. "Freedom from the chains that bind us, from the darkness that holds us captive." Tom's mind reeled at her words, his thoughts spinning in a maelstrom of confusion and fear. But then, as if guided by some unseen force, he reached out a trembling hand, his fingers brushing against the cold, unyielding surface of the darkness. And in that moment, as their worlds collided in a symphony of light and shadow, Tom knew that he had ventured into a realm beyond his understanding, a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurred, and the whispers of the night held sway over all who dared to listen. The air crackled with tension as Tom stood on the precipice of the unknown, his heart hammering in his chest like a drumbeat heralding the coming storm. Before him loomed the shadowy figure cloaked in darkness and mystery, her presence both alluring and terrifying. With each passing moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting with bated anticipation for the inevitable clash between light and darkness, between truth and illusion. And in the depths of Tom's soul, a fire burned bright, a spark of defiance amidst the encroaching darkness. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice ringing out clear and strong despite the fear that threatened to consume him whole. "What do you want from me?" The figure remained silent, her form swaying gently in the breeze as if caught in the ebb and flow of some unseen current. But there was a weight to her presence, a gravity that pulled at Tom's very essence, drawing him inexorably closer to the edge of oblivion. And then, with a voice like silk, she spoke, a single word that sent a shiver down Tom's spine, a word that echoed in the recesses of his mind like a forgotten memory. "Freedom," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rustle of leaves. "Freedom from the chains that bind us, from the darkness that holds us captive." Tom's mind reeled at her words, his thoughts spinning in a maelstrom of confusion and doubt. But then, with a newfound sense of purpose burning in his chest, he stepped forward, his gaze locked with hers in a silent challenge. "I will not be your pawn," he declared, his voice resonating with a strength that surprised even him. "I will not let you control me, manipulate me, consume me." And in that moment, as their worlds collided in a symphony of light and shadow, Tom knew that he had ventured into a realm beyond his understanding, a realm where the line between reality and nightmare blurred, and the whispers of the night held sway over all who dared to listen. With a final surge of determination, Tom reached out a trembling hand, his fingers brushing against the darkness that surrounded him. And in that instant, the world exploded into a kaleidoscope of light and sound, as the barrier between worlds shattered like glass, and Tom stepped into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The dawn broke like a promise on the horizon, casting its golden light upon the snow-covered landscape as Tom emerged from the depths of the forest, his soul heavy with the weight of the night's revelations. Behind him, the cabin stood silent and brooding, its secrets buried beneath layers of snow and shadow. As he made his way back to civilization, Tom felt a sense of relief wash over him, a feeling of liberation born from the knowledge that he had faced his deepest fears and emerged victorious. But beneath the veneer of triumph, a seed of doubt lingered. With each step, Tom felt the weight of the world lift from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of clarity and purpose. The whispers that had haunted his every waking moment fell silent, their siren song fading into the recesses of memory. And yet, as he glanced back at the cabin one final time, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that he was leaving something behind, a part of himself that had been forever altered by the ordeal. But he knew that he could not linger in the shadows, that he had to press forward, ever forward, towards the light.